We remember, PREUSSEN invaded the much larger alliance BIG on a map that had already been completely taken over by the latter. After successfully capturing a few bases, BIG managed to recapture all bases in the night from Friday to Saturday. The third part of this small video series ended with the frustrating sight of the map 240, on which the only blue dots were the home bases of the small PREUSSEN players. Many alliances would have given up at this point and declared the project a failure. PREUSSEN continued to fight on Saturday. The situation was re-evaluated and the north of the map was still considered the correct target. In the meantime, numerous home bases managed to get close to the attack targets by repeatedly logging in. Accelerators are then used to ensure that the base stays there even if the player logs out. The motivation at BIG must have been good at this point. After all, BIG was able to chalk it up as a huge success for themselves to completely own the map again. The resistance from BIG was still massive. The hope that BIG might have spent itself last night did not seem to work out. However, PREUSSEN's production continued overnight on many maps, even if the associated players were asleep. Therefore, at this time, PREUSSEN had again enough supplies, which gave the attack so correctly pressure. Also on this Saturday noon, there were again 12 home bases of PREUSSEN players on the map. This shows impressively the commitment of these players. The difference between a good alliance and an outstanding alliance is its members. PREUSSEN players are not infallible either. They are not Superman. They are good, but so are many other players. The difference is that PREUSSEN keeps fighting even when the going gets really tough. Nobody runs over to the opponent. We all know that. The opponent is supposedly stronger and the real defeat only comes when players give up. I have experienced this again and again in many alliances. A situation is declared hopeless and that alone is enough to lose. This is definitely different with PREUSSEN. Even in times of need, this community sticks together and gives everything. Today's video shows this particularly impressively. As on the previous day, the capture of a base is not only a successful milestone for PREUSSEN. The player VOBS56 immediately has a higher group limit, so he can bring over many more groups from other maps. Scenes like this show that BIG still had a lot to fight with and that the recapture of a single base cannot be a reason for jubilation. Here, an AMS of the player Burniman is being heckled by two B-25 bombers. Burniman is now obviously locked out after a long night battle. The player Willy does not know how to defend the AMS with his 8 groups of helicopters when sometimes attacked from one side, sometimes from the other. In the end, the AMS sank. Directly it goes on against the next base, which is already rebuilding defense towers. The beginning is hard, also because of the many helicopters. Then there are also boats in front of the base, including another AMS, this time from the player Geisha 19. However, it is significant that BIG is fully on the defensive. PREUSSEN puts so much pressure that BIG does not even start an attempt to take back the freshly captured base. I Ideally well situated is the home base of our player von Arnim, directly in front of the attack target. The 30 defense towers tear decent gaps into the helicopter carpet. But immediately Big comes at the western highway with further groups of helicopters. Then there really is an offensive action by Big after all. In order to disturb the poison supply, Big sends Willys, T-26 and helicopters to maps already completely taken by poison. Here, for example, to map 765. The goal of this activity is probably to wear out groups waiting at the highway. However, these attempts did not have any real success. Since the river base is defended too massively, Preussen now turns to another target. In the beginning, it is simply a matter of giving other strong players at least one base each on this map as quickly as possible. Once more you can see a Big standard scenario. Big loves to attack with many groups of IL-2. But today Preussen is well prepared for this. Two groups of skinks are standing by. These are deliberately positioned with some distance in order not to become an immediate target of the air attack themselves. This works. The player Chui was first brought to this map by Big in the course of the reconquest. As you can see, he has built everything in his base that you can get for gold, apart from cranes. But it does not help him. The other Big players prefer to enjoy the sudden calm at the harbor base with their units. Again, another AMS on the river. Meanwhile, it is Saturday 6 p.m. So the war already lasts 24 hours and the player Burneman seems to have woken up, but just active on another map because he himself does not react to the attack. His teammates save his AMS at least for the moment. At the contested base, however, the resistance is very manageable. FP6 and Elis are easy victims for the many malls. It is good that the small players can also build malls in their home bases. So the base falls quickly and Preussen has another foothold on the new map. Immediately Preussen continues against the neighboring river base. Preussen had owned this base before and lost it again. The player No-Red did not seem to lack gold when expanding the base, but he did lack concrete. Thus, the base has only half the number of defense towers. Nevertheless, it produces aluminium here and not concrete. The Big fleet is successfully protecting the currently unattacked neighboring base and does not intervene in this battle. Thus, this river base then also falls quickly. With Han Solo, another strong Preussen player thus has a foothold on this map. If it is so important for Big to protect the neighboring base, then it is time to attack it as well. There are various groups of tanks in front of the base. Meanwhile, Preussen has already cleaned up on the river. Unfortunately, I didn't catch that in the video. When the groups parked in front of the base are finished, the resistance ends. Big sends nothing more, and Preussen has another river base. To complete the north of the map, it is the area above the river. Another river base is attacked in the northeast. The only disturbance of this attack are two groups of helicopters. There is still some fighting on the western highway, but at this stage Big seems to be a bit tired. In the meantime, it is already 11 PM as well. Finally, two bases are still missing in the northwest to complete the north. How the now higher group limits affect the attacks can be seen very clearly here. Finally, Preussen can use Karls and protect them with the heli carpet so well known from other Preussen videos. The Preussen player Hans Voss then starts a small diversionary maneuver in the east. This is as little disturbed as the main attack in the northwest. At midnight, Preussen has taken the entire north of map 240. But will Preussen be able to hold this or lose everything again overnight? This and more can be seen in the further episodes of this small video series.